Thank you so much for joining. This is already our third week in our platform. I am so happy that you guys find this platform as your source of encouragement. We will continue this as long as we can so that every day we know how to respond from the negative forces in life. I am so excited for you to hear the message of the Lord. Make sure you wear your earphone or earpods so that you can listen properly and absorb the message fully. In this episode, I am praying that God will help you to see the powers in servanthood. Enjoy the message. So, master in servanthood. Let's discover the four hidden powers of servanthood. Before we start this discussion, let me just read to you the whole passage that we were going to talk about. It's going to be on Acts 9:36 to 43. Let me take a moment and read these passages. Verse 36, in Joppa there was a disciple named Tabitha, which means translated is Dorcas, who was always doing good and helping the poor. 37, about that time she became sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. 38, Lydda was near Joppa, so when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent two men to him and urged him, please come at once. 39, Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and other clothing that Dorcas had made while she was still with them. 40, Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. 41, he took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called the believers and the widows and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in the Lord. 43, Peter stayed in Joppa for some time with a tanner named Simon. In the Bible, there was a woman named Dorcas. Dorcas was very well known because she helped people in any way she could. The Bible described Dorcas as women who always doing good and helping the poor. I want you to take note of the word always. Meaning, she didn't help people when she was feeling good or having a great day. I believe that word always explains us that Dorcas doesn't stop helping when she was dealing with something personal. She always finds a way to help people, no matter what. Always doing good and helping the poor. Now let's talk about, again, the title of this episode, Master in Servanthood. Let's discover the four hidden powers of servanthood. Let me break it down to you guys a little. Servanthood means, I love to break it down to you in English, but one word is enough for you to get it. In Tagalog, pagiging alipin or alila or paglilingkod. Alam ko, ang iba sa inyo parang di natuwa sa kanilang narinig, but that is the very reason why we need to expose to you the power of paglilingkod. Once again, I know it's good to serve. I know it's good for someone to serve us. We love people serving us. We love the government to serve us. We love ate sa karinderya to serve us. Most of us will agree that it is good when someone is serving us. Pero baka di mo lang alam, may kapangyarihan sa pagiging alipin. There's power in servanthood. I know it's not sounds cute. I know it's not sounds cool. But servanthood is what you need to be the person you want to be. If you never learn to serve others, you will never get to the fullness of your destiny. Now, let's get back to Dorcas. One of the things that Dorcas teaches us is this. You will grow in charity. Charity means generosity or helpfulness. If you continue serving to the point that it is almost part of your mindset, You will activate that kind of attributes that allows you to always find an opportunity to help people. Once again, I know it sounds strange for some of people here na di sanay magbigay, but I'm talking to those people that are willing to break that kind of spirit, that stingy spirit. Are you having a hard time to give something, to contribute something? Then this is the message of the Lord for you tonight. Continue serving. Because along the way, that helpfulness heart will be part of your attributes. If you continue serving, you will come to that point that we don't need to teach you anymore when to give. You will always on giving mode because you will grow in charity. You know how to activate that even more? This is what you need. First, be consistent in doing good. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but one serve, one give, one sacrifice is not enough to fully activate this attribute. Second, be characterized in a good. Meaning, don't be shy to be known as a giver, as a good people. You will never ever be a servant or a giver if you don't want to be classified as a good person. Hey, if you're a bad person that doesn't want to be classified as a good human being, I'm sorry to say, you will never ever activate these attributes in your life. You will always be the same because you don't want to be characterized as good. Let me give you my pro tip. I also struggled to choose the life that I have right now. But on that day that I accepted to be called, as a pastor or as a good person, some people are trying to tease you. You know what? Sige, tanggapin ko na lang natawagin akong pastor, mabait, alive. Tinanggap ko po yung ganong klaseng sasabihin sa akin ng tao. At technically speaking, mas mukha naman beneficial na yun eh. But sadly, we rather choose to be classified as the bad person rather than a good person. So be characterized. If you want to activate this, consistency is the key and you have to be characterized as a good person. Let me give you this quote from Bob Hope. If you haven't got any charity in your heart, you have the worst kind of heart trouble. Can I speak with those people right now that are still struggling to be good? Guys, listen carefully. I know what surrounds you is not good. I know your family is not doing good for you. I know your classmates are all bad. But one thing I know, since narinig mo ito, ikaw magsisimula ng kagandahan sa buhay ng mga taong nasa paligid mo. Don't base your goodness depends on other people treating you. Kung di ka na mamotivate gumawa ng tama dahil maraming mali sa paligid mo, edi simulan mo. Kasi for sure, kaya di motivated yung mga nasa paligid mo kasi hindi ka rin naman gumagawa ng tama. So, sa madaling salita, quits lang. Kaya please lang, simulan mo. Amen? Now, sa pagpapatuloy ng ating storya, ito pong si Dorcas ay namatay. At meron pong nagngangalang Pedro na isang disipulo ni Kristo. Pumunta siya doon sa lugar ni Dorcas. Doon sa itaas ng kwarto na kinabibilangan ni Dorcas. At mapapansin po natin sa storya, may mga balo po doon na umiiyak at may mga hawak ng damit or robe. And I want you to pay attention on that part that where those widows were crying. In verse 39, Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and other clothing that Dorcas had made while she was still with them. Let me remind you that Dorcas is a good person. Marami siyang natulungan. Kaya ano nangyari? Since she grew in charity, because of that, she left a legacy. Let me ask you for a moment. Of course, knock on the wood first. But if you will die today, who's gonna go to your funeral and cry? I know that is a very sensitive question, but just to spark your curiosity about your impact in others people's life, how many people you think that are not ready na mawala ka? Iilang legasiya na ba ang tingin mong nagawa mo na? Guys, I'm not trying to put you down, but I'm not trying to, demoralize you. What I'm trying to do with those questions is to spark that curiosity. Alam ko mabait ka. Alam ko may potential ka. Kaya ina-activate ko lang yung natutulog mong kabutihan sa puso. By saying, don't you wanna leave any legacy here on earth before you die? Just like Dorcas, the people around her cannot accept the reality na yung matulunging si Dorcas, patay na. True servants are indeed memorable. And let me remind you of something. In life, it's not about your duration. Meaning, yung tagal mo sa buhay. It's not about your donation as well. Meaning, yung naambag mo sa buhay. Jesus Christ only lived 30 years and yet His influence still able to get to our generation. Jose Rizal only lived 35 years and still able to feel His influence up until our generation. Wala akong pake kung anong edad mo. Ang pake ko ay yung nakikita mong opportunity na makatulong sa iba. You have to grab it. Ituring mong kasarapan ang pagtulong. Meaning, find pleasure in charity. Let me prophesy over your life, guys. At kung sino man yung nagre-receive nito, makakaranas ng pagkapala na nag-uumapaw. I am prophesying more influence sa school nyo. I am prophesying more influence sa work nyo. I am prophesying more influence sa government kung dyan ka man tinatawag ng Diyos. I am prophesying more influence sa pamilya nyo. Marami dito gagamitin ng Diyos sa kani-kanilang pamilya at magiging dahilan ng kaginhawaan nila sa buhay. Let me read to you these quotes from Shannon Alder. Carve your name on hearts, not on tombstones. A legacy is etched into the minds of others and the story they share about you. Leave a legacy. Let's get back to the story. In verse 40, Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, "Tabitha, get up." She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. 41, he took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then she called the believers and the widows and presented her to them alive. Guys, servant ka ba? Matulungin ka ba? Hindi papabayaan ng iba? Hindi mo pinapabayaan ng iba? Well, ang Diyos hindi ka papabayaan. Because you will also find mercy. Dahil napaka-demand ni Dorcas, muli siyang binuhay. Alam mo, darating sa point na sobrang taas ng demand mo, si Lord never hahayaang mawala ka. Never niyang hayaang di ka maging pagpapala sa iba. Aalagaan ka niya at ibabalik ang dapat ibalik sa iyo. In Matthew 5:7, "Blessed are those are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy." You will find mercy as well. Amen? Now, before we move forward to the last hidden power ng servanthood, onting review muna tayo. You know, the power of servanthood, you will grow in charity, you will leave a legacy, and you will find mercy. And lastly, you will unlock a testimony. And let me emphasize this verse in verse 42. This became known all over Joppa, and many people believed in the Lord. You see, this became known all over Joppa and many people believe in the Lord. Minsan ka na bang nangarap na ma-unlock mo yung testimonyang pagpapala? Yung tipong kapag nagsalita ka, alam mo mga tao makikinig sa'yo at makakaramdam ng matinding inspirasyon at pagpapala sa buhay mo. I know we all have different reasoning why we don't want to serve other people. I cannot say anything about that, guys. I don't want to debate sa mga reasoning na meron ka. And also take note, hindi rin kita husgan kung ano man yung mga reasoning na meron mo sa buhay. But kung meron man akong aasahan dito, ayun na yung banal na spirito. Nahihipuin ng puso mo na magkaroon ng willingness to master servanthood. Guys, hindi kabawasan ang pagiging servant or alipin. Bagkus ito pa nga'y asset. Ito ay strategy para mabuhay ng wasto at para palakihin ang ating impluensya sa buhay na ito. Ano-ano or sino-sino nasa isip mo ngayon na gusto mong tulungan? Mga taong malino sa'yo na ikaw ang kailangan. Mga taong malino sa'yo na uhaw sa buhay na mga bagay na meron ka. Now, before I end this simple message, one thing I want to emphasize, I know I know to serve is crucial. It demands a lot of personal things. But I'm praying right now that the Spirit of God will talk to you and give you the insights of how powerful serving other people is. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you tonight and see you all tomorrow for our daily Life Talk episode.